Hey guys, welcome back. Slowly approaching the end of the year. Today, what we're going to be looking at is graphing our last conic section. I'm sure you guys are stoked about it. I'm stoked about it. It is called a hyperbola. A hyperbola, very similar style as the ellipse graphing wise, just much different look. Much different look. Some of you may have seen this before. It kind of looks like two parabolas, but either way, I'm going to walk you through the process in this video of graphing it in standard form. We will not need to change the form at all. We're just going to be graphing in this video. The next video will look at how to convert forms. So, boom, we're here. Now, notice what we have here. I'm going to write out the general form of a hyperbola. The general form, sorry, it's not going to be the best visual of me. We are good. I think I lost my second monitor, but that's okay. So the general form we're looking at is x minus h, squared. Hold on, let me fix that. All types of stuff happens when all that gets disconnected. Boom. We're looking at x minus h squared minus y minus k squared over a over b equals 1. Notice it's very similar to the ellipse. The only thing that is different here is the fact that it is minus. And because we have that minus, you can also have the general form y minus k squared minus x minus h squared. It's both, relatively speaking, the same form. The only thing that's different is here you'll see the x's first, the x be, or the y is being subtracted from the x, and vice versa here. You can see from this example that we're actually looking at this general form. Notice the y comes first, and you'll see that does come into play as to the look of the graph. The first thing that we still want to get is our center. The center here is grabbed the same way we've gotten the center from every other uh, conic section. I take my h value and my k value. You'll see in this example, let's highlight these bad boys right here. Boom. For h, remember h is with the x, so it is going to be the opposite of that, so it is -1. -1, right? I'm going to draw a little arrow. And that's the opposite of that. For the -1, see if I can draw an arrow. That's our k value, and that becomes opposite as well, and that is +1. So we have our center. Our center is -1, 1. Put a little C next to that so we know we have a center. Now, just like for an ellipse, we kind of have to find our vertical changes and our horizontal changes. The way we do that, the exact same way as the ellipse. I'm looking at the y's, right? The y, what's below y is 9. So we take the square root of that, which is 3. So this is my vertical change. I go up 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2, 3, boom. Vertical change. For our x values, I'm going to actually change colors here. For our x values, underneath of x we have 16. We take the square root of that, and that gives us 4. So that tells us horizontally we are moving 4 in each direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. Now remember, if this was an ellipse, we would just kind of connect and make this football shape. That's not the case here. For a hyperbola, instead of making a football shape, what we do is we actually make a square shape. So I'm going to go and just kind of see, or a rectangle. Boom. Notice I'm just working my way until I get to this line. I stop. Oh, I totally messed that up. Make sure you go all the way up to that section. There we go. We need to go all the way to our red. Boom. So you can see we kind of have this nice little square rectangle. Now, this is not actually the hyperbola. This just helps us shape the hyperbola. And like I said, this is kind of a weird one, but if you have this box, this is essentially the grid for it. It really helps us with it. Now, what we do is we're actually going to draw a straight line through connecting the diagonals and the center. So this is a little tough on a device. Boom. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Never really liked the crayon setting on here, but it is kind of nice for this. Now again, this is not the hyperbola. This is just essentially the grid we use to graph the hyperbola. To actually get the hyperbola itself, now we can start to fill in some information. But no matter what, for every hyperbola, you need to have the box, and you need to you need to have your rectangle, and you need to have diagonals that go through it. All right. So that being said, now we need to figure out which direction our hyperbola is going in. Since y is the first, right? Let me right? Notice y is first here. That means we are going to be opening up and down. That means I start from that vertex point that we marked earlier along the y's, and all you do is you just kind of follow the diagonals. We use the information, we use the box, and we use the diagonals to actually kind of create our shape. You can see that the hardest part of this isn't actually graphing, it's setting up the box and it's setting up the diagonals for it. That is a very, not time consuming process, but a very important process here. So take some time, look over this example, and see, well, all right, how do we set up the box? How do we set up the diagonal? And then which direction are we opening? But I hope you found how to graph these helpful. The next video we're going to look at is when they're not in standard form, how do we get them into standard form, and then how do we graph them? Well, all right, guys, see you soon. Make sure you watch the next video.